some slogans, you know, like Toys for Tots? How about a good slogan for black people? Hey, let's get black to business.
And prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much.
How have you been able to digest this? Are you still in that shock mode?
Jimmy, I'm a black woman and a lesbian. How the hell you think I'm doing?
Create havoc. These are bad people. I know everything they're doing. I know every move they make. I get it. It's tougher. I think it's probably, in many ways, it's tougher on my family than it is in me.
It looks like a sentient tumbleweed. That's how Wanda Sykes described Trump's hair right before she destroyed his entire self-image on national TV. The comedy duo of Sykes and Kimmel delivered the takedown America didn't know it needed. What started as typical late-night comedy quickly turned into what witnesses are calling a comedy massacre that left Trump's ego in pieces. Sykes didn't just cross the line, she erased it completely. And Trump's reaction? Let's just say we haven't seen him this mad since someone suggested he pay his taxes. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder what happens when a comedian hits a billionaire where it really hurts?
Must be excited. Your guy Trump won the election. Congratulations.
Too soon, Jimmy. Too soon.
When you look at USAID, that's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. And prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much.
Trump found out the hard way when Wanda Sykes stopped by Jimmy Kimmel's show and delivered a comedy beatdown that had viewers rolling and Trump fuming. It wasn't just another night of late-night jokes. This was a calculated strike at the former president's most sensitive spot. While most comedians take aim at the easy targets like Trump's orange complexion or his quirky hand gestures, Sykes went straight for the jugular, his supposed business genius and billionaire status. Let's be honest, Trump can usually brush off jokes about his appearance like dandruff from his suit jacket, but when comedians start questioning the one thing he values above all else, his wealth, that's when the tiny hands start making angry fists. The comedy duo didn't just throw random insults, they systematically dismantled Trump's carefully constructed image as a business titan. Sykes had the audience in stitches when she pointed out that our self-proclaimed billionaire treats bankruptcy filings like they're frequent flyer miles. Can you imagine? The man who wrote The Art of the Deal apparently specializes in the art of financial faceplants. But Sykes wasn't done there. She took aim at Trump's infamous hairstyle, comparing it to a sentient tumbleweed that escaped from a 1980s car commercial that's been rolling around aimlessly ever since. The mental image alone had the audience howling with laughter as they pictured that mysterious blonde mop taking on a life of its own, much like Trump's relationship with reality.
Oh, is acting up today? I don't think I can't. It's excruciating pain. I can't.
I have a wonderful wife who has to listen to this stuff all the time. They do that for this reason. For what they did,
Yeah.
honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
Kimmel, never one to miss an opportunity to pile on, jumped right in with his own financial roast, suggesting that Trump's credit score probably screams in terror every time he tries to swipe a card. Picture it, a little credit score running away in horror whenever Trump reaches for his wallet. Not again, it cries, diving for cover behind a stack of unpaid contractor invoices. What made these jokes sting like a swarm of angry bees wasn't just their humor, but their uncomfortable proximity to the truth. When comedians joke about Trump's tan or his diet, they're just scratching the surface. But when they start exposing the gap between his billionaire persona and his actual business track record, that's when the orange face turns red with rage.
How have you been able to digest this? Are you still in that shock mode?
Jimmy, I'm a black woman and a lesbian. How the hell you think I'm doing?
Trump's hardcore fans may be a lot of things. Bright is not one of them.
Create havoc. These are bad people. I know everything they're doing. I know every move they make. I get it. It's tougher. I think it's probably, in many ways, it's tougher on my family that is in me.
Sources close to Trump revealed that his reaction was swift and explosive. After watching the segment, he reportedly went absolutely ballistic, stomping around like a toddler who just had his favorite toy taken away. The bankruptcy jokes in particular seemed to trigger something deep within his fragile ego. Imagine being so insecure that a comedian's joke about your business failures sends you into a tailspin. That's our former president, folks. The comedy massacre didn't stop at financial jabs. Sykes cleverly pointed out how Trump blew his inheritance like a kid with a gift card at a candy store. It's a perfect analogy, given millions by his father, only to squander it on questionable ventures and golden toilets. Most people would be embarrassed by such a track record, but Trump keeps doubling down on his very stable genius business acumen. What's particularly fascinating about this comedy takedown is how differently Trump responds to different types of jokes.
You understand what I'm saying? So basically, I take care of white people. What the hell?
I mean, how does this happen? Last week he had the whole legal system rigged. Now he's powerless.
If I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me.
Make fun of his spray tan? He'll shrug it off. Mock his bizarre speaking style? No big deal. But question whether he's actually as rich as he claims. Suddenly you've crossed a line that sends him into orbit faster than one of Elon Musk's rockets. The Kimmel-Sykes comedy tag team proved once again that humor can be the most effective weapon against powerful figures who can't handle criticism. Their jokes cut through the noise because they targeted the one thing Trump has built his entire identity around, his supposed business success and wealth. When that facade cracks, everything else comes tumbling down like one of his failed casino ventures. What makes this Trump-Sykes situation so fascinating isn't just the jokes themselves, it's how comedy strips away the armor of powerful people who can't laugh at themselves.
How about some slogans, like toys for tots? How about a good slogan for black people? Hey, let's get black to business.
The witnesses that were on our side, they were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft.
He just tap dances.
Can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece?
Trump's thin-skinned reaction to Sykes reveals exactly why comedy matters in politics. The man who brags about being tough completely falls apart when someone questions his wallet size. As research shows, Trump's defensive response to Sykes' financial jokes exposes his deepest insecurity. Comedians like Sykes understand their unique power to speak truth to power through humor, reaching audiences in ways serious journalism sometimes can't. When Donnie Diapers gets more upset about jokes targeting his supposed wealth than his hair, we learn what truly matters to him. The question remains, will Grumpy Trumpy ever grow thicker skin, or will comedians continue living rent-free in his head? Based on his ballistic reaction to Sykes, I'm betting comedians will keep the keys to his emotional apartment for quite some time.
One of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women.
And Celebrity Apprentice was not true. And Mark Burnett has tapes of him calling people every racist word in the world, telling women to get down on their knees.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Is Melania really as miserable as Rosie claims? The comedian's recent roast has Trump firing back with the kind of meltdown we haven't seen since he lost the election. From calling his marriage a PR stunt to suggesting Melania counts the minutes until freedom, Rosie's comments have clearly touched a nerve. But why is Trump so sensitive about his marriage specifically? We're breaking down this celebrity feud that's got everyone talking. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wondered what makes Trump lose his mind faster than his hairpiece in a hurricane? Turns out it's Rosie O'Donnell talking about his marriage. The comedian recently dropped what can only be described as a nuclear bomb on Trump's ego when she called his marriage to Melania nothing but a PR stunt and suggested that the former First Lady counts the minutes until freedom. Ouch. That's gotta sting worse than the spray tan in Trump's eyes. This isn't just some random celebrity taking a pot shot at the former president. Rosie and Trump have been locked in a bitter feud that dates back to 2006, when she first questioned his business practices and moral authority on The View. Since then, it's been a non-stop circus of insults flying back and forth like tennis balls at Wimbledon, except much less classy.
He is a cruel, criminal, and mentally unstable man. I expect nothing but the lowest bar for Donald Trump, and you know, every single day, he just grants my perception of him as correct by his actions, by his word. And I think he's the worst thing that ever happened to the United States. And his cruelty knows no bounds.
Trump, never one to take the high road or even acknowledge where the high road might be located, has spent years hurling kindergarten-level insults at Rosie. He's called her a slob, a disgusting animal, and a fat pig, showing all the maturity of a toddler who just learned bad words. Rosie, meanwhile, hasn't exactly turned the other cheek, once famously referring to Trump as an orange anus after a presidential debate. Not exactly Shakespeare, but it definitely got the point across. But this time, Rosie went straight for what appears to be Trump's most sensitive spot, his marriage. She didn't just question the relationship, she took a wrecking ball to it, suggesting that every photo of Melania shows a woman who looks absolutely miserable. Rosie painted their relationship as purely transactional, basically suggesting that what we're seeing isn't so much a marriage as it is a business arrangement with occasional hand-holding for the cameras.
He is the kind of person that is a grifter, and he is an evangelical preacher to people who believe that Celebrity Apprentice was true. And humiliated and embarrassed, he has no control, and he goes apeshit. Can I say that?
Yeah, you just did.
Mark Burnett owns the cache of all of Trump's sickness, and he refuses to release it.
How did our thin-skinned former president respond to this marriage mockery? The same way he responds to everything, with an unhinged meltdown that only proved Rosie's point. Trump immediately took to Truth Social with all-caps rants calling her a loser and a disaster. Nothing says, my marriage is totally fine and I'm not insecure about it at all, like screaming into the void of your own social media platform at 3 a.m. Psychologists could have a field day analyzing why marriage comments trigger Trump so dramatically. The man has built his entire persona around being a winner in every aspect of life, business, politics, and yes, his personal relationships. With 2 failed marriages already in his history books, any suggestion that marriage number 3 might be less than perfect hits Trump right in his carefully constructed image. It's like pointing out that the emperor not only has no clothes, but might also be sleeping on the White House couch.
Donald Trump represented something that was very important to Barbara, okay? Titan that she was, and her legacy should be long and strong. He had social standing in New York City. A new book says Rosie felt so betrayed by Walters that it prompted her to quit the show just a few months later. Trump got published in the Post. Walters, he says, called Rosie a pig and said that she was going to get her fired. Now, Barbara Walters said that never happened. He called her a liar.
What's particularly fascinating is how Trump simply cannot let these comments slide. For someone who wants to project strength, his inability to ignore Rosie's jabs reveals just how fragile his ego truly is. It's like watching someone claim they're fireproof while simultaneously screaming because they touched a warm stove. As Trump was having his meltdown, social media was having a field day. Hashtags like "I'm Rosie Goes Nuclear" and "Trump Meltdown" started trending faster than toilet paper during a pandemic. Users shared memes of Trump's red face getting progressively redder with each Truth Social post, and creative edits of Melania appearing to run away from various White House events. The late-night comedy circuit pounced on the feud like a cat on a laser pointer. Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert turned Trump's tantrum into comedy gold, with monologues that had their audiences howling. One host suggested that Trump's caps lock key was the most overworked button in America, second only to the one summoning Diet Cokes to the Oval Office.
And I've known Hillary for a long time. This is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it. I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore. In fact, I'm actually starting to like Rosie a lot. I called Hillary a nasty woman. But this stuff is all relative. After listening to Hillary rattle on and on and on.
What makes this ongoing feud so fascinating isn't just the entertainment value, though that's considerable. It's how consistently Rosie knows exactly which buttons to push to send Trump into a tailspin. While many critics focus on his policies or legal troubles, Rosie seems to understand that questioning his personal life, particularly his marriage, is what really gets under his skin. So what we're seeing isn't just another celebrity feud for our entertainment. It's a window into Trump's paper-thin ego that shatters whenever someone takes aim at his personal life. This ongoing battle with Rosie reveals something fascinating about the former president. His carefully crafted tough guy image completely falls apart when faced with criticism about his relationships. While Trump wants us to see him as this unshakable strongman, his narcissistic pattern of lashing out at women who criticize him tells a different story. When Rosie targets his marriage, Trump doesn't just respond, he erupts because she's poking holes in the perfect life he desperately wants everyone to believe he has. The truth is pretty simple. Rosie knows exactly which psychological buttons to push to make Trump lose his cool. She's basically living in his head rent-free, rearranging the furniture and putting her feet up on his emotional coffee table. And let's be honest, that's probably the most uncomfortable Trump property anyone's ever willingly occupied.
Your favorite auntie is back to straighten out America. Because America needs me. Lord, have mercy.
They're buying $50 billion worth of farm product, and they did it when I was president. And as soon as I left, they stopped doing it because there was nobody in Biden to.
Every state in America. I didn't know you was allowed to run for the president while you was already running from the po-po.
Trump's poll numbers might be rising, but his blood pressure just hit the roof. Leslie Jones, armed with nothing but a mic and a truckload of jokes, just took on the biggest ego in politics. And boy, did she leave a mark. Remember when Trump suggested we nuke hurricanes? Well, Leslie's roast just created a Category 5 storm in Mar-a-Lago. The only thing Trump's grabbing now is his phone to tweet angry responses. Looks like someone can't handle a taste of their own medicine.
Is the leading candidate? Can you believe he is the leading candidate? What the America? I know the pandemic wasn't Trump's fault, but Trump made it worse every chance he got. Don't you people remember the kind of advice he was giving us?
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Man, this dude can't even tell the truth about genies. The one thing we know...
For a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. And yet I charged hundreds of billions of dollars of tax.
So who's this Leslie Jones character that's got Trump's toupee in a twist? Well, buckle up Buttercup, because she's not your average comedian. Leslie's a former SNL star who's now hosting The Daily Show, and she's using that platform to roast the orange turd like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Is the dude that is saying shit like this.
Donald Trump echoed the dangerous language of infamous fascists.
And guess what? America is on the path to doing something really, really stupid.
Picture this. Leslie's on stage, mic in hand, ready to tear into Trump's poll numbers faster than he tears into a bucket of KFC. She's not holding back, folks. Leslie's going after everything from Trump's bleach injection ideas to his brilliant plan to nuke hurricanes.
About throwing his opponents in jail when he literally should be in jail.
These comments from President Trump on the United Kingdom and European Union follows a furious backlash to his announcement of levies.
It's like watching David take on Goliath. If David had a killer sense of humor and Goliath had tiny hands. Leslie's jokes are hitting Trump harder than his golf ball hits the green. When he's not cheating, that is. She's pointing out how his rising poll numbers are about as reliable as his hair in a strong wind.
Have the attention spans anymore, but how can you forget the man who wanted to nuke a hurricane? That actually happened.
The European Union has treated us so terribly.
You promised Americans to try to reduce costs, and so many of the products.
And let's be real, the only thing Trump's presidency was good for was late-night comedy material. Leslie's just cashing in on 4 years of absurdity. But here's the kicker. Leslie's not just going for cheap laughs. She's using humor to expose the dangerous ideas and incompetence that defined Trump's time in office. It's like she's holding up a mirror to America and saying, hey, remember when this guy was in charge? Let's not do that again, okay? Now, you might be wondering, how's old Donnie Diapers taking all this? About as well as he takes any criticism, with the grace and dignity of a toddler having a meltdown in the cereal aisle. Trump's probably furiously tweeting or whatever he does on that knockoff Twitter of his, faster than he can say café. But here's the thing, Leslie Jones is proving that laughter can be a powerful weapon against political nonsense.
Think that Trump would win.
What the f is wrong with her?
She's taking on the biggest ego in politics with nothing but her wit and a microphone, and she's winning. It's like watching a comedy David slay a political Goliath with a slingshot loaded with punchlines. Looks like our favorite orange turd just got flushed down the comedy toilet. Trump's having a full-blown meltdown, and it's all thanks to Leslie Jones and her killer jokes. Who knew a few well-timed punchlines could make the big bad Trump throw a tantrum like a toddler who just got his lollipop taken away?
Oh, and the beat still hasn't dropped. Drop the f***ing beat, DJ Andre! I gotta go get some sleep!
Well, we're going to see what happens. It'll happen. But we're going to fight. We'll see how things work out.
So what happens when you poke the bear? Or in this case, the grumpy Trumpy? Well, buckle up, folks, because it's about to get wild. Trump's initial reaction to Jones's roast was about as mature as you'd expect from a guy who thinks windmills cause cancer. He fired off a barrage of angry tweets faster than you can say kofef, calling Jones's comedy vicious and unfair. Aw, did someone hurt the big baby's feelings? But Trump didn't stop there. Oh no, he had to take it to the next level. He started ranting and raving like a lunatic, his face probably turning a shade of red that would make a tomato jealous. You could almost see the steam coming out of his ears as he tried to defend his brilliant ideas like injecting bleach to fight COVID. Yeah, because that worked out so well, right?
Disaster coming from a mile away and nobody is stopping it! Every time I turn on the news, I'm shouting at the screen like, this man is calling American citizens vermin, when he is literally the definition of vermin.
Jones's jokes about Trump's presidency seem to have struck a real nerve. It's like she found the self-destruct button on Trump's ego and decided to play whack-a-mole with it. And boy, is Trump feeling the heat. He's acting like a kid who just found out Santa isn't real, confused, angry, and ready to sue the North Pole. But here's the kicker, Trump's tantrum might just be proving Jones's point about how unfit he is for office. I mean, if a comedian can get under his skin this easily, imagine how he'd handle actual political pressure. It's like watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion, except the cards are covered in spray tan and bad hair dye.
But we entertain ourselves by watching documentaries of serial killers.
So what does all this mean for the 2024 election? Well, Jones isn't just cracking jokes for the heck of it. She's using humor to remind voters of the chaos and incompetence that define Trump's presidency. It's like she's holding up a mirror to America and saying, hey, remember this guy? Let's not do that again, okay? Jones argues that if Trump can't handle a little comedic criticism, he's got no business running the country. And you know what? She might be onto something. If Trump's flying off the handle because of a few jokes, how's he gonna handle things like, oh, I don't know, a global pandemic or international diplomacy? So there you have it, the ultimate showdown between the comedy queen and the orange buffoon.
All night scrolling onto our phone until it falls on our damn face. We know we should take care of our mental health.
Leslie Jones just proved that laughter is the best medicine for a sick democracy. She's not just cracking jokes, she's cracking open our eyes to the mess we narrowly escaped. But here's the real punchline. If Trump can't handle a few zingers from a comedian, how's he gonna handle running a country? It's like expecting a toddler to perform brain surgery. Funny to imagine. Terrifying in reality. So next time you're in the voting booth, remember this epic roast. Maybe the real joke is thinking Trump could handle the presidency again. And speaking of jokes, don't forget to check out our next video where Jimmy Kimmel uncovers Trump's debate farting incident. Talk about silent but deadly.
You know, there was a Tara O'Connor, I believe her name was, a young Irish lass who was junior Miss Trump Atlantic City pageant sexist winner.
Donald Trump has been mad at you for a very long time.
Over a decade. Seth.
Over a decade.
Yes. And she's the prostitute. And who is he? He's the moral arbiter of 20-year-old behavior now, right? So then I said, you know, some facts that I just went on Wiki.
I was scrolling through Truth Social yesterday. Not that anyone actually uses Trump's failed platform. And guess who was having another public meltdown about Rosie O'Donnell? Our former president seems absolutely obsessed with responding to her comedy special where she called him mentally unstable. It's almost like Rosie knows exactly which buttons to push to make him lose it. She's been battling him since 2006, and now she's revealing the secret Trump recordings that producer Mark Burnett has locked away. The way Trump is reacting tells us everything we need to know about what might be on those tapes. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder what's actually in those secret apprentice tapes that Rosie O'Donnell claims Mark Burnett is hiding? According to her, they would completely destroy Trump's carefully crafted image if they ever saw the light of day. Rosie didn't hold back when she dropped this bombshell, claiming Burnett is sitting on recordings of Trump using every racist word imaginable and telling women to get down on their knees. Yikes. The contrast couldn't be more stark. On The Apprentice, viewers saw a composed, business-savvy Trump firing people with authority. But if Rosie's allegations are true, the reality behind the scenes was something entirely different. The show essentially performed a magic trick on America, transforming a guy with a string of business failures into someone who looked like he actually knew what he was doing.
Donald Trump has been mad at you for a very long time.
Over a decade. Seth.
Over a decade.
Yes. I have to say, as a 55-year-old woman who lived through Vietnam, you know, when I was in 1973, my mom died, and 2 months later, they started the Watergate hearings. And he said, just want you to know, I've forgiven her, and this young woman, I'm like, what is he, the pimp?
Talk about the power of editing. What's particularly interesting is how Burnett has refused to release these tapes despite their potential significance. Rosie didn't mince words about this either, calling his refusal a sin. It's like having evidence that could change history but keeping it locked away in a vault. Why would Burnett protect Trump this way? Is it loyalty, legal concerns, or something else entirely? Trump's reaction to Rosie's claims was exactly what you'd expect, an immediate social media meltdown. Nothing proves someone's point about your inability to handle criticism quite like having a public tantrum about it. It's like when a toddler gets called cranky and then throws a fit to prove they're definitely not cranky. The orange man just can't help himself. These alleged tapes fit into a larger pattern we've seen with Trump. His worst behavior often gets edited out, covered up, or explained away by those around him. Remember all those White House staffers who would quietly remove papers from his desk? Same energy. Rosie went as far as describing these recordings as a cache of all Trump's sickness, suggesting there might be even more disturbing content beyond what she's already mentioned. What else could be on those tapes that would make even hardened political observers gasp? If Mark Burnett's secret tapes reveal Trump behind closed doors, his Truth Social meltdown show us what happens when no one can take his phone away. Trump might fancy himself as some kind of tech genius, but Rosie O'Donnell has a different assessment of his social media platform. She calls it horrible and failing. Pretty harsh words, but have you seen Truth Social lately? It's like watching a digital Titanic, except instead of hitting an iceberg, it crashed into Trump's own ego. There's something deeply ironic about a platform named Truth being run by someone Rosie considers the least truthful person in American politics.
It's been really, we've sort of made the joke on the show that he's flip-flopped on everything except you.
It's actually very true. You know, there was a Tara O'Connor, I believe her name was, a young Irish lass who was junior Miss Trump Atlantic City pageant sexist winner. I have put in that request by tweet.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to hear, but nothing really will.
Truth Social was supposed to be Trump's big answer to Twitter after he got banned, but instead it's become Exhibit A in the case against his supposed digital mastery. Technical glitches, barely any users, and money problems have plagued the platform since day one. What's really fascinating is how Trump's behavior online gives us a front row seat to his psychological makeup. Rosie pointed out his bizarre social media habits. Those all-caps rants at 3 a.m., weird punctuation that looks like it was typed by someone banging their head on a keyboard, and the predictable rage whenever anyone criticizes him. It's like watching a toddler who missed nap time trying to operate a smartphone.
And did it sort of start? It started from The View, yes?
The View.
Yeah.
It was on that little escalator down with the fake crowd going, look, here's my wife who loves me. And she's like, how do I get out of here? Right? And she's the prostitute. And who is he? He's the moral arbiter of 20-year-old behavior now, right? So then I said, some facts that I just went on Wiki.
Rosie didn't pull these observations out of thin air either. She referenced the book Duty to Warn, written by 27 psychiatrists who felt they had an ethical obligation to alert the public about Trump's mental state. That's not one or two random doctors. That's 27 mental health professionals waving red flags and saying, hey America, we might have a problem here. According to Rosie, Trump's digital behavior shows a clear pattern. Every single day, he just grants my perception of him as correct by his actions, by his words. She describes him as narcissistic mentally ill and says that when he feels upset and humiliated and embarrassed, he has no control and goes apeshit. Strong words, but then again, Trump immediately proved her point. When Rosie's comedy special hit the airwaves, what happened? Right on cue, Trump fired up Truth Social for a rage-filled post calling her unfunny Rosie and a total loser. He might as well have sent Rosie a thank you note for proving her point about his inability to handle criticism. It's like a scientific experiment where the subject confirms the hypothesis every single time.
That were easily accessible since this campaign began. That he is bankrupt 4 times, that he got all his money from his father. And I remember as a child feeling, wow, there's no safety in my house, and look, there's no safety in the world. And all of that came right up when he, first of all, when he announced, I was like laughing.
If Trump gets indicted, it would be really great if Mueller let you serve the papers. I feel like...
I just thought it would never happen.
Same here. So I've been wrong at every turn.
I said to my therapist, I got this new show, Smilf, but I have to go to Boston to start shooting.
The best part about Rosie's comedy special isn't just the laughs, it's the psychological trap she masterfully set. And wouldn't you know it, Trump walked right into it by labeling her unfunny Rosie and a total loser in his furious response. He essentially confirmed her entire diagnosis of his fragile ego and inability to handle criticism. It's like watching a real-time psychological experiment unfold. Trump simply cannot resist responding to anyone who questions his carefully constructed image, especially when it comes from someone he's feuded with for years. His predictable meltdown makes you wonder, if this is how he publicly reacts to a comedy routine, what kind of behavior might actually be captured on those supposedly hidden Apprentice recordings? The true punchline isn't in Rosie's stand-up. It's watching Trump provide all the evidence needed to support her claims with every angry word he types. Talk about comedy that writes its own sequel.